Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Audit and Finance Committee meeting for March the 3rd. We have with us all of our presenters here and all of our members. And let me see, I'm just going to hit got it here. It's been a beautiful day in the neighborhood. So we're going to get started right now. And I'm going to ask our Majority Counsel, Rebecca Kennedy, to take attendance, please.
Sure, Madam Chair. Ms. Willingham?
Present.
Peter?
Here.
Bergdorf?
Present.
Clay?
Present.
Grimm? Ray Joyce?
Present.
Lakakis?
Here.
Mayo?
Here.
And Brewski. 7 present, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay, very good. Paul, Mr. Bergdorf, I just want you to know I have missed your presence in our meetings. So I'm happy to see you back.
No. I've been back the last couple of times. No problem.
I know, but I haven't had a chance to say that though.
Well, thank you very much.
All right. We're going to start right now, and I'm going to ask. Let me see. Do we have any other members? I do see that the Honorable Simpson is with us tonight, and if I'm missing anyone, I can't see. Oh, hello, Mr. Miller. How are you tonight?
Hello.
And is there anyone else on? I'd like to recognize. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Moriello. We do have the minority leader on tonight. Okay, and did I miss anyone?
Is Mark Grimm on? Because he was just on personnel.
I don't see Mr. Graham, but I see the chairman and Ms. Lockhart.
Hi, Patty. How are you this evening?
Good, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good, very good. So do I have all of the members? Have I acknowledged everyone? Very good. All right, we're going to move forward here. Ms. Kennedy?
Item 1 is approving the previous meeting's minutes.
Motion, Madam Chair.
I got a motion for
Second.
Mr. Peter. I got a second for Mr. Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Number 2.
Item 2 is local law number L for 2021, a local law of the County of Albany, New York, ensuring universal access to counsel during eviction proceedings in housing courts in Albany County. This is tabled because no public hearing was reintroduced this session.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to move ahead then to number 3.
Item 3 is amending the 2022 Sheriff's Office budget for salary adjustments.
Okay, so Sheriff Apple, you have number 3 and number 4 tonight. Hold on one second, I gotta get this open. Okay, there you go. And I would just like to welcome you to the meeting, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. What I'm looking to do, I have 3 positions in queue that I would like to eliminate and then add 3 positions. Basically, what I'd be doing is removing a Deputy Director of Communications and Emergency Services and adding a Health and Safety Coordinator. Reason being, one thing that popped up during COVID is that we as a department need to pay better attention to our staff. And this person, I want to start to worry about the health and wellness of our members, push out basic things about physical fitness, things about nutrition. I actually am blessed to have a nutritionist on my staff, and I'd like to put him in that position and have him focus again with taking better care of our members. And of course, he'll also be able to go out and do some public health awareness as well. Gary Holly, who's been a longtime member, we'll take him with him, talk to the kids in the schools about the harmful effects of tobacco use, alcohol use, and of course, drug use. So he'll have a few duties, but his primary focus will be on our members. Second one is basically a title switch, a senior investigator into a first sergeant. It's actually a reduction of 300 pay, but for civil service purposes, the first sergeant better suits the duties that it's for one of our female members that she has currently. And then there's a sheriff's deputy to a sheriff's investigator who will augment our criminal investigations division and our employee assistance program.
Do I have any questions from any members on item number 3?
Motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I believe Mr. Clay made a motion. I would like to second it.
Okay, very good. I accept Mr. Clay's motion and Mr. Peters' second. With no further questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, please, just note my presence, please.
Yes, I will note that Mr. Grimm is present.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kennedy, number 4.
Item 4 is amending resolution number 33 for 2022 regarding the New York State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services 2020 statewide interoperability communications grant. And this was the
Sheriff
addendum that was added for the sheriff.
Does everyone have that? Okay, thank you. Sheriff Apple?
Madam Chairwoman, this is for a generator purchase for the new 911 center on grant funding. Initially, resolution 33 of 2022, anything over $100,000, obviously. This was an expenditure of $315,000. Since then, the bid has gone out and the bids came back. The price has increased to $334,691, a difference of $19,000. So we're basically asking to amend that resolution, authorizing us to purchase the grant again with Homeland Security funding.
Do I have any questions from any members? Mr. Peter?
Madam Chair, if there are no further questions, I'd like to make a motion to move this.
I got a motion from Mr. Peter.
The second motion.
I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank
That
you,
was-
everyone. Great night.
All right, thank you, Sheriff Apple.
Thank you.
All right, so now we are going to move on to, I think what I want to do, but you know what I would, okay, we'll go on to 5 and 6.
Item 5 is authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 138 4th Avenue, 53 Lexington Avenue, and 140 Clinton Avenue in the city of Albany.
Mr. Riley?
Yeah, Madam Chair, thank you for recognizing me. This is a pretty standard property conveyance request. Is a total of $37,158, which were owed on delinquent taxes. We currently have that on the deposit, as this is going to the back to the previous owners.
Any questions on that? No questions, I'll entertain a motion.
So
I got
moved.
a mo- Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Bergdorf. My second will come from.
Second.
I got a second from Mr. Joyce, Ray Joyce. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Number 6, Ms. Kennedy.
Item 6 is authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 467 Orange Street in the city of Albany.
Mr. Riley?
Yep, Madam Chair, as stated, this is for 467 Orange Street in the city of Albany. This, like the previous item, is back to the immediate former property owner. There was $13,387 on back taxes, which we currently hold in our account now.
Questions?
Madam Chair. What was the amount owed on the property?
On this property was $13,387.12. We currently have received the full amount owed.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you. You're welcome, Mr. Clay. I have a motion?
So moved.
I got a motion from Ms. Lakakis. I need a second.
Second, Madam Chair.
I got a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. All right, we'll move right along. Ms. Kennedy, we will entertain on number 7 right now.
All right. Item 7 is authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 143 Montgomery Street and 6 Colony Street in the city of Albany.
So who's going to speak? Is Mr. Rogers on here, or is it going to be you, Mr. Riley?
I'll let Dave go first, as he's been on a roll here, and then I can jump in as well.
Sounds
Okay,
good. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you very much.
All right. So Madam Chair, this is another property conveyance. And before we get into the details, I'd just like to kind of remind everybody that the property disposition plan governs all property transfers that the legislature handles. Even though this one is a little bit bigger and has been a little more newsworthy over the years. It still goes back to the same functional document, same basic rules that we handle it. So that said, this is the central warehouse building. You guys are all aware of it. You see it pretty regularly. The Department of Management and Budget, we had withdrawn this from the typical foreclosure process due to potential environmental concerns. We did a sealed bid auction as we do with withdrawn parcels back in May. It went from May to June. We received 2 bids during that process. Subsequent to that process closing, but before our opening of the bids, the previous owner filed in bankruptcy court, held up the whole process. Now that that has been dispensed of, the county has, removed him from the process. Now it's time for us to move forward. Before we went to open the bids, the second bidder backed out. So that leaves us with 1 bid here, but that said, it's a great bid. We had to review based on 5 terms. We had feasibility of the proposal, economic impact, qualifications and expertise, capacity and timeliness, and finally bid price. So this request is to transfer this to CW Skyway LLC. I'm sure most of you have seen in the paper that this is a partnership of actually, Luke, let me let you get into that piece of it because that's more your world.
Sure, yeah. I'll just pick up because that was a great explanation of the process. Columbia Development and Redburn Development partnered on this effort. Both are local developers with a strong track record and history of projects in our community, and frankly, also challenging projects in our community and seeing them to fruition. So that's part of the reason that we are excited about this opportunity, and felt comfortable moving forward with them as what ended up being the sole bidder. An evaluation was conducted based on the criteria that Dave laid out with graders from management and budget, economic development, engineering, and the county attorney's office as sort of the 4 relevant departments to this type of project, who all, felt confident in this proposal. There are no illusions about this project. It is going to be a challenging project for whoever takes it on. And in this case, it's going to be a challenging project for the CW Skyway team, but of who we could have had respond to this and bid, they are certainly, for the reasons I mentioned, somebody to be excited about, and somebody we're fortunate is willing to take this on. So with that, we can stop and answer any questions.
Madam Chair?
I'm sorry, Mr. Grimm.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, a couple of questions that have come up regarding this deal. One of the signatories to the deal sits on the Advanced Albany board, and the other signature, the Columbia Development, their vice president sits on the Advanced Albany board. So the question came up to me was, what guidelines do we have vis-a-vis if you're an Advanced Albany board member, which of course is our economic development arm? How much are you able to interact in terms of business deals with the county? What are the guidelines in that area?
Sure. And it's important to note, as Dave did, that although this is a high profile case from a public interest perspective, in many ways, this is the same process as a vacant lot, in terms of our disposition plan. So you're correct in pointing out the relationship there. The Alliance had no involvement in this process. And as soon as we, being the county, transfer this, it's a private project. There's no, what they do after that in terms of seeking state support, federal support, county support is certainly something that they may pursue, and we would take appropriate measures if they do look for county or Alliance support. But in terms of the transaction itself, I understand what you're saying, but there was really no relationship or involvement or communication vis-a-vis the alliance. And this, this is a process through our county finance department and went through the county from a grading process.
Look, but aren't there any guidelines? In other words, if you're on the Advanced Albany Board, that obviously gives you an advantage vis-a-vis, county operations. Are there no things that you're excluded from working on if you sit on the Advanced Albany Board?
I'm not sure about the advantage piece. This was treated and advertised as any other sealed bid process. So advertised on the county website, open for the typically month. There was no conversation of this that I'm aware of at the Alliance. I understand what you're saying. And if this were a county development of sorts, so if the Alliance, if this were a county-owned property that the Alliance, for example, were seeking a partner to develop for economic development purposes, that would be, I think, a completely different animal. And in your case, you'd likely want any board member of the Alliance to recuse themselves and not participate. But this is a county disposition plan driven process that, again, really has no overlap related to the Alliance.
And I don't have any evidence there was any issues there. Let me just say that. And we will all want to get rid of the eyesore, but the Redburn representative was up for reappointment to the Advanced Albany Board in our last meeting, and that was pulled suddenly from the agenda. Did that have anything to do with this new deal?
Not to my knowledge. I highly doubt it, but that is a county legislative appointment, so I can't speak to it.
Does anyone know from the legislative standpoint why that was pulled?
The two, I guess it's a strange coincidence, but they're not at all related.
But why was he pulled, Patrick? You know why the reappointment was pulled from the agenda?
The recommendation of that appointment is the chairman's, who now has his hand up, so I'll let him.
Okay, I see, I'm going to recognize the chair.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It's Chairman Joyce here. Mark, I was just listening along to your questions and some of your observations. Mr. Buell's appointment was tabled for reasons not related to this transaction through Redburn and the partnership they're embarking on with Columbia. And just as a note, Albany County is growing. Our economic development posture is growing, but there aren't that many players in town. And up until this point, we're very we're grateful to have that kind of perspective on the Advanced Albany County Alliance through Mr. Buell and the folks from Columbia who have been doing some really incredible work, not only in Albany County, but across the region. But we decided through leadership to table that appointment for reasons not related to this transaction.
What were the reasons?
As I've stated in the past, Mr. Grimm, we have these folks that come aboard on different boards and commissions with the county for different reasons, and this isn't something personnel related or individual related that I want to air out publicly. But I will say there aren't reasons related to this transaction with Central Warehouse.
Thank you, Mr. Joyce.
I will say, I just as a note, Mr. Buell has served, proudly and served us well on that alliance. This economic development, mission and effort that we're embarking on, we've been embarking on for the past 2 years in the county through the alliance. We've been very lucky to have Mr. Buell's perspective, through those initial stages. But I will say that the tabling of that appointment was not related to this transaction with Central Warehouse.
Mr. Peter.
Thank you. Mark, I understand what you're saying and all that stuff. And I don't, I don't disagree with any of the concerns, but I would also say that with the county being the foreclosing entity throughout the county and then having to dispose of all those properties, if you took out anyone who could potentially want a property or deal with a property in the county from ever serving on a board, you end up taking out everyone because everyone has a house potentially, potentially a house. There's so many people that either have a house in the county whose organization might be seeking property, developers, small businesses, residents, things like that. And I would simply say that since the Alliance did not have a direct benefit in this, that obviously, like the rest of us in the county ledge, I would assume, and even though it didn't have to play here, that if there was a vote by the Albany Alliance, there would be a clear, abstention, very similar to where we have county legislators who have different jobs for grants and stuff, and we very simply abstain. We don't not act on all legislation because there might be something we have to abstain on, and I think that's sort of a dangerous and slippery slope if that's sort of the angle you're going at.
Yeah, I'll just add that the Alliance is regulated by the authority's budget office, and as a result of that, has policies related to procurement, has policies related to ethics, has policies related to conflict of interest. So just as we do at the county, the Alliance is subject to all of these. There is no overlap in this case, but just if it gives you comfort, Mr. Grimm, the same sort of policies that are, as Mr. Peter was indicating, apply to the county legislature or apply to a county department, also apply to members of the Alliance board.
Chairman Joyce.
Go
Hey, thank
Jo-
you, Madam Chair. I got you.
Mhm.
Mr. Grimm, I just wanted to make sure that I, to the best of my ability, I answered your questions about that tonight.
Well, let me just say, I'm not suggesting there's any hanky-panky here, folks, at all. I just think these are questions I think need to be raised and discussed publicly, given the nature of the circumstances here. That's really where I'm coming from.
I appreciate that, Mark, and I know you got a good focus on it. You've always had a good focus. Just my personal opinion, my way of doing business. I'm not going to talk about employees publicly, and I'm not going to talk about our appointees publicly. But I will say, Mr. Buell, up until this point, has served us very well, and we've been lucky to have him on board. And the pause that we've taken and the tabling has nothing to do with this transaction. And for the small part that Albany County has played, in this transformational project that's about to occur in Albany's downtown, I want to thank everyone for their hard work to get us to this point. Again, a small role to play, but for those of us who grew up here and moved here, that have any interaction with that site, there's a number of different diverging opinions. Some folks say tear it down, some folks say redevelop, and we're in a position now to redevelop it, and it's an exciting proposition. And we know Redburn and Columbia are well suited to do so, and I'm very excited for what's coming next, and thankful for the county's role that we've been able to play in this so far. So great work, everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Bergdorf, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I originally raised my hand to just elaborate a little bit on what Mark said and also what Andrew said. And I'm a little confused with something Luke said. The Alliance is a public authority. It is not.
It's a local development corporation, and local development corporations are subject to ABO compliance.
Okay. So one of the things I was going to suggest, because we have the sponsors of the project have stated their intent publicly to rely on everybody for a source of funds. Okay. And I assume that means the state of New York and the Empire State Development Corporation. I assume that means federal infrastructure money. I assume it means anywhere where there's a pot of money available. I have confidence in both Redburn and in Columbia, but I think my recommendation would be that somebody get an ethics opinion at the advance if you're going to continue to have folks that are going to be on an advisory board to our economic development department it would be ludicrous to think that our own county economic development department wouldn't play an active role in promoting this project, and they should. So I just think there ought to be some formal parameters should this pass tonight, and I intend to support it tonight. So I just wanted to make that point. Couple of other questions. I'm sort of surprised that, the price is $50,000. I guess maybe that's what happens when you end up with a sole bidder, and $550,000 worth of taxes forgiven. It seems to me that, basically we're almost handing them the project and saying, God bless and go forward.
Mr. Bergdorf.
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
Mr. Riley, Dave, would you respond to that, please?
Well, as I stated earlier, this follows the property disposition plan from 2019. So many of you voted for that plan. And that plan does not require or even expect the payback of back taxes. We're treating it just like every other plan.
I said it, and when you look at it in toto, okay, it is a
It's $100 million project.
I understand that, and I'm going to support it. Okay, but the developers are taking great risk, and the county is putting some dollars on the line to get them to take that risk. So I understand that. There's nothing more that I want than to see that property redeveloped. The one question I did have is I read repeatedly in all the news stories that when Mr. Blum owned the property, which I guess went up until I don't know if he still is the owner of record or whatever, but there were hundreds of code violations that were ignored and not repaired. But yet in the RLA package, there is a certification from the city of Albany that there are no code violations on the property. So I guess I'd like to know what the truth is. Were there hundreds of code violations when Mr. Blum owned it, and they've all been suddenly repaired? And if so, by who? Or is the city of Albany's statement corrected? There are no code violations.
That I can look into for you and let you know. I don't know either way.
Well, I mean, there's an affirmative statement in.
There's a statement from the city here saying that there are. I have no idea where the reports of hundreds of code violations come from. So
Just to be, I think I can probably clarify, and I think Mr. Bergdorf, you might be misreading the document, but the certification from the city, I believe, relates to.
Is that related to the bidder?
The bidder, yes, not the property. So as part of the due diligence associated with reviewing a bid, we look at the bidder's other properties, whether they have back taxes, whether they have code violations. So certifying that, and if they have back taxes in the county of Albany, I believe they're essentially invalidated. And so
not essentially, they're excluded.
So that is what you're seeing. I believe it's not specific to the property as it currently is owned by Mr. Blum.
I'm going to ask my deputy chair, Matt Peter, to comment on this. Thank you, Matt.
So is the current property in possession of the county?
It's in possession of the county, but it's not in title.
Right.
So you're right. So this goes back to it, Paul, to your point, right? Like it's about the developer, and then since it's the county that's technically transferring it, any violations that Mr. Bloom had, or Blum, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, would technically it would still, those repairs would still have to be made by the next person, but there's no violations that the county would then have as the transferring entity. So then what you have to look at is whether or not the person has a history of this, right? Like it's something we discussed earlier, you know, for that. So I understand the confusion because
Yeah,
I do. Yeah.
I'm looking for it in the background, and now I can't find it.
If you're looking at page 132, the purchaser review that talks about code enforcement information, it says there are no outstanding violations. That is pursuant to the bidder, not the property.
Correct.
Okay, but in the backup on our iPads, where is that?
I'm on page 132 of the PDF. That's all I can tell you of the agenda.
Okay, I will take your word for it, and it just seemed odd to me the way it read.
Especially given the state of the warehouse, Paul.
That's what I mean. It's hard to believe there were no code violations if you've ever driven past it.
Yep.
Thank you. I'd like to make a few comments on this. That warehouse district is in my district, my legislative district. And it's what, maybe 4 blocks away from where I live. Okay. And when I want to get downtown, I have to go past that warehouse. And for years and years and years, I have, hoped that something would happen with that. The one thing that I do see there, and I looked at their record of development across Albany County and in the city of Albany, and they've been involved extensively. So even before they were on the Economic Development Board, they were doing things to revitalize the city of Albany and tackling huge projects. One of the concerns that, eventually that I will have, I would hope to see some of that revitalization come 2 blocks up into North Albany on Broadway, or 1 block up to Broadway, and then past Broadway to North Pearl Street. I would hate to see us revitalize, because this is going to be a huge project. One thing I see, and I'm not blind, that it's moving towards that riverfront. And I would hate to see that there would be no community benefit to the residential area that would be surrounding this place that has had to put up with this for years. I'm grateful that the building, is not going to be raised, because I only live, like myself, 4 blocks away, and I wouldn't want all of that dust and everything coming over into my home. Okay, and so I'm excited about this project, and I can't do anything but promote it, and then have to wait and see what kind of community benefits North Albany and Arbor Hill will realize from all of the work that is going to be put in down there. So I have the vision and I can see it. And I tell you the truth, the one thing I was surprised about, that there was no conversation with local representatives such as myself or with Kelly Kimbrough. We represent that area, never heard from people, and so that's one thing I would like to see happen, is that they would speak to us so that we would have some good news for our people down there in that area. Mr. Peter, I see your hand up.
Madam Chair, Mr. Riley or Mr. Rogers, who communicates to if we approve this tonight, who sends who acknowledges it to the bidder?
There will be a connection between the county attorney's office and their attorneys, likely.
Just to follow up on what our chairwoman said, if you could let the attorney's office or anyone who's communicating with the developers that once the property's in their hands, it would behoove them to have a conversation with the community led by Ms. Willingham and Mr. Kimbrough, and maybe to talk about, the designs and those elements, and that, that North Albany and warehouse district that's coming back strong because of some of the dedicated leadership there, just to meet up with them.
Yep, noted. And I obviously can't speak for the development team, but I am confident that you're going to find a receptive audience and a group that is looking to work with the community just based on their past experience and track record.
I've seen
Well,
nothing but good things from
We're
them.
very excited about this. I am, and I wholeheartedly support this, this venture. I feel like we do have, obviously, people who are able to deliver. And this is a huge undertaking because that building, it has stood at least as far as I'm concerned, time memorial down there. And so, you know, I think this is great news. So I see your hand up again, Paul, because we're going to move on. We want to vote
Yeah,
on
no,
this.
I just want to say that I found the page that I was referencing. It's under purchaser review. It's the last tab, and it is a tad confusing. And it does say purchaser review, but then it says property information, and it lists the address of the building of Central Warehouse. And then in a box below it, it says bidder name and properties owned. And they have 2 or 3 things,
Right.
Columbia Street, North Pearl, et cetera. And so it's confusing where the code enforcement and the delinquent tax information.
But you're clear on it now, though.
So
You're
Yeah.
clear on it right now, right?
I
Okay,
am absolutely clear on it, and
very good.
I understand it.
Excellent. Yes, Mr. Peter,
If there are no further comments or questions, I'd like to make a motion on this.
I got a motion. I need a second.
Second.
I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, Mr. Rogers and Mr. Riley, for your presentation on this venture. So we're gonna move right along here.
Thank you very much.
Miss Kennedy.
Yes, item 8 is amending the 2022 Department of Residential Healthcare Facilities budget for administrative adjustments.
Mr. Slatsky.
Good evening, everyone. Yep, this is a budget amendment for specific lines for salary. A few deal with the collective bargaining agreement where they were mandated to receive a 2% increase, and certain staff members lines or budget lines did not receive that 2%. We're also requesting to add a physical therapist line. We're using an extensive amount of per diem staff, which is costing the nursing home a lot more money than the hourly salary that we would pay to a staff member, since our therapy department services have truly grown with the new nursing home. And then there's a few other changes to make some equity adjustments to some budget staff salary lines so that they staff members with the same title receive the same salary. And this is all going to be budget neutral. We're giving up salary lines to fund any of these lines where there may be a slight increase in salary for certain staff members. And again, it's already, by the time this gets implemented, it'll be April. So we put in the full amount for the whole year, but it will be prorated to December 31st, 2022.
Very good.
Motion.
If there's no questions, can I get a motion?
Motion.
I got a motion from Ms. Lakakis. I got a second from Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much, Miss Kennedy.
Yes, item 9, the bond resolution in the amount of $3.5 million, I believe has been withdrawn.
Yes, this bond request has been withdrawn. There's certain issues that arose that we realized need to amend this request, so we're going to withdraw it and resubmit at a later date.
Thank you very much. Ms. Kennedy?
Yes, the remaining or the next 12 items are all bond resolutions. I would just note that for each of those bond resolutions, the underlying project was included in the capital plan. Item 10 is a bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing the undertaking of a capital project for the Shaker Rehabilitation and Nursing Center, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $4.5 million, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4.5 million of serial bonds of said county to finance said appropriation.
Mr. Slatsky?
Yeah, this will be for the Child Daycare Center, which will be located in the, what we know as the Shaker Wing. The architecture contract was approved by committee last evening. And this will be for the construction of the project itself, which of course includes the dollar amount that would pay to that architect once this bond is issued.
Oh, great. I'll just have a very quick question. Do you know when we're going to start this?
Well, we got to figure the architectural drawings, which we're working on now, should take around 3 to 4 months. Once that's all approved, we'll go out to bid to get a construction company. You know, that's another 2 to 3 months. Then the project itself. So under the best of circumstances, while I would love to have a child daycare center tomorrow, because it's desperately needed and it would help with staff recruitment and retention. I think we're looking at this time next year, if we could stay on a very, on a good timeline, we hopefully will be open by the spring of 2023.
That's wonderful. Any other comments? If not,
Madam Chair?
okay, is that Mr. Grimm?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Larry, you know, my question, how much this is reimbursable? Can you give us fill us in on that from the state?
Yeah, well, we already have had discussions with the New York State Department of Health. This was considered a limited review CON, and being that it's part of the nursing home and will be used primarily for nursing home staff, even though it will be open to all county personnel first, and then open to the community of Albany. It will be reimbursed probably on some sort of prorated dollar amount, but our intention is to submit the entire dollar amount because it's being completed by, not operated by, but completed by and paid by Shaker Place, which in essence is Albany County. So we're going to put the entire amount in to answer your question. And hopefully
Yeah, someone else. Yeah, that's good. Someone else will run it. The county will not run it. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And will we be able to draw revenue from that independent company?
Yes, what we did is, you know, we did an RFP, and it's the Colony Youth Center. Right now will be the tenant. They will be involved in the planning of this project and working with the architect. And when it's all said and done, this will be a rental property. So we should derive revenue from this project, as well as have a benefit to the county.
So the state will reimburse us, and yet we still get revenue, and we still provide childcare for the workers at the nursing home.
Exactly.
That's a home run, my friend.
Yes, it is.
I
I
hope
think
so.
so too. Mr. Bergdorf, thank you.
Larry, any idea how many ballpark, how many slots this is going to create in terms of daycare?
Understanding our current square footage, we'll be able to handle 60 children during any session. And the way child daycare runs, there can't be an overlap, meaning you can't have more than 60, if that's the number, children in the facility at one time. So if we ran a program from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., we could have 60. And if we started a program at 7:30 p.m. and the children left at 7, new children came in at 7:30, as an example, we can have an additional 60. So we're looking at 60 for every session.
So it could be consistent with the shift work at the nursing home.
That is definitely the plan.
Phenomenal.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent, excellent.
Great.
Okay. Now, with this, Ms. Lakakis, you want to ask this question, please?
I was wondering if you didn't have the kind of a level of people that you wanted, if you could, it would open into the airport workers' children also, because I know sometimes at the plaza, they end up taking other children in if they can't keep their levels up.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the goal. I mean, first would be Shaker Place. All of Albany County employees, which are over 3,000, could have use, and then into the community, which would be everybody.
Mm.
This will be the hottest ticket in town, Larry.
I think so.
All right, Mr. Peter.
Madam Chair, also great project, Larry. This is great. I think like this
Thanks.
literally hits so many needs. But with that said, and instead of just, I would like to make a motion to move this if there's no other questions.
Great, I got a motion.
Second.
I got a second. I got a second from Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Great.
Slatsky,
Thank you.
for your presentation. And you really hit a home run here.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too. All right. Ms. Kennedy.
Item 11 is a bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing the undertaking for various capital improvements for the Water Purification District Sludge Process Improvement Project, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $20 million, and authorizing the issuance of $20 million of serial bonds to finance said appropriation. It is my understanding that this may also have been withdrawn, Mr. Gaudio?
Yes, that is correct. I think due to some of the alternatives we're looking at, there's going to possibly be some issues with seeker, so we are looking to withdraw it.
Okay, thank you. All right, number 12.
Item 12 is a bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing the undertaking for various capital improvements for the Water Purification District Septage and Fog Receiving Station Project, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $4 million, and authorizing the issuance of $4 million of serial bonds to finance said appropriation.
Thank you. So this is a request for our septage and fog receiving. Fog is fats, oils, and grease. It's an acronym. So we are looking at basically a processing system that can process essentially restaurant grease. And then that byproduct essentially could be harvested and sold off as a commodity, either as a substitute for a bunker fuel or as a feedstock for a renewable biodiesel. So we are looking to set that up. We will be pursuing EFC funding for this. So really this bond is really a holding spot that allows us to qualify for potential EFC financing and for a grant opportunity with them.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion?
Motion, Madam Chair.
Can I get a second? Pardon me?
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Peter. I got a second from Mr. Packers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gaudio. Ms. Kennedy.
Item 13 is a bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing capital improvements regarding the Waterville Shaker Road reconstruction project for the Department of Public Works, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $5.2 million, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $5.2 million of serial bonds of said county to finance said appropriation.
Ms. Raimondo.
Hi, Madam Chairman. Sorry for my dog in the background.
That's okay.
He came in right on cue. Yes, so this evening I'm asking for approval for a bond authorization for our Waterville Shaker Road reconstruction project. This project will rehabilitate approximately 0.75 miles of Waterville Shaker Road and will include the addition of a center turn lane, a multi-use bike path, as well as traffic signal upgrades, drainage improvements, and new pavement. And this is a 100% county funded project.
All right.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Bergdorf.
I just want to congratulate Commissioner Raimondo for her extraordinary efforts along with her consultants to do the public outreach along Albany Shaker Road. There were a lot of people with a lot of different opinions. There were 4 different options. Not everybody got the option they wanted, but ultimately you were able to pull together a consensus of the best project within the available funding. There were some of us would like to have seen something a little different, but that's life. But the DPW is really to be congratulated for their outreach to the community. I've heard nothing but good things. It'll be my pleasure to support this.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
I got a motion from Mr. Bergdorf. I got a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Ms. Kennedy.
Item 14 is a bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing various capital improvements for the Department of Public Works, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is 10.8 million, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of 10.8 million of serial bonds of said county to finance said appropriation.
Hi,
Ms.
yes.
Raimondo.
Yes, this is requesting approval for bond resolution for our various 2022 capital projects. We're asking for 3.42 million in bonds to finance 5 bridge design and construction projects, $950,000 in bonds for construction of the highway pavement recycling project that we do annually, $1.45 million in bonds to purchase new vehicles and trucks, plus $5 million in bonds to pay for construction of 2 new subdivisions, one in our Knox site and one in Clemens. The total bond request is $10.82 million.
If there are no comments, I'll take the motion.
Motion, Madam Chair.
I got a motion from Mr. Peter.
I'll second.
I got a second from Ms. Lakakis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Raimondo.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Kennedy.
Item 15 is a bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing the undertaking of a capital project for the MVP Arena, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is 2.4 million, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2.4 million of serial bonds of said county to finance said appropriation.
Is Mr. Latina with us?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Latina had a personal issue and asked me to cover these for him this evening.
So you'll be doing the next 5, is it?
I think it's the rest of
6.
the way out.
Oh, okay, all the way out. Okay, very good. Very
So,
good. Okay.
yeah, please be gentle if you have any very detailed questions. But this first item is, as stated, 2.403 million for new LED fascia at the MVP Arena. That's the programmable signs around the ring.
Okay. Sounds nice. Mr. Peter, anybody?
I'd like to make a motion because it does sound nice.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Grimm.
Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Riley, one of the questions I always have, we agreed to this big payment to fix up the MVP Arena a couple years back. Are these bonds all additional to that payment, or they are related to that in some way?
These are additional from that original amount. Some of those projects were anticipated at that point, though. Like some of the stuff, it just couldn't all be done at the same point. Some of the things have come up. Like I know the following one that we're going to look at is the locker room, and I think stuff like that. You know, they've been looking at doing those for 3 or 4 years probably. But
yeah.
But
I would like to know
certainly,
just how
things get prioritized. And with the specific item we're talking about here, though, one item that you will like is this will increase our allowable sale of ads, because we can change what's on there so we can put more advertising on there, generate more revenue.
Yeah, I'd just like to know the running tab. We've spent an awful lot of money on that building.
Yep.
And I don't think anyone really knows what the total amount is. I would love to know what the total amount of renovations we've spent in the last 6 years.
All right, I can put that together for you. How about that?
That
Thank
would
you
be
very
great.
much, Mr. Riley. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Madam
Yep.
Chair.
Can I get a motion?
I
got a
still think
motion.
it's nice. I'll do a motion.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Peter. I got a second from Mr. Kakis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Ms. Kennedy.
Item 16 is a bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing the undertaking for capital improvements for the MVP Arena, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $350,000, and authorizing the issuance of $350,000 of serial bonds to finance said appropriation.
Dave.
Yep. So this, as I stated in the last one, this is to renovate the locker rooms that the teams use when they're getting ready for their games. These haven't been updated in so long that they actually have logos from teams who no longer play in Albany.
Wow. Okay. Can I get a
And that
motion?
is a hardship, let me tell you.
Madam
I'd like to
Chair,
make a motion.
just a quick question for Mr. Riley.
Yes, Mr. Peter?
I'm sorry, are you telling me, Mr. Riley, there might be some River Rats memorabilia that you're hiding from us?
I don't think it goes back that far.
Okay, just want to check, but I guess with that, if you find anything, I think we need to
Yeah.
see. But anyway, I
It is
will second
available.
Lakakis's motion.
Okay, I entertain Mr. Cactus' motion, and I'm going to get a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Ms. Kennedy?
Item 17 is a bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing various capital improvements for county facilities, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $500,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $500,000 of serial bonds of said county to finance said appropriations.
All
So,
right,
Madam
Dave.
Chair, Madam Chairwoman, this is for 500,000 of what we refer to as our facility improvement bond. This is the ongoing annual maintenance to various facilities, updating painting, carpeting, HVAC updating, when we have to relocate departments, move walls, things along those lines, pay architects for those services, anything kind of related to that, as well as any kind of energy management systems that still need updating.
Very good, very good. Comments? If no comments, I'll entertain a motion.
So
Motion,
moved.
Madam Chair.
Was that you, Mr. Bergdorf?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll second that.
I got a second from Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Ms. Kennedy?
Item 18 is a bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing various capital improvements for county-owned garages and parking facilities, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $500,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $500,000 of serial bonds of said county to finance said appropriations.
Very good.
Madam Chair, as stated, this is 500,000 specifically for our parking facility renovations project. It's in the 2022 capital plan, has a completed or projected completion date of 2024. And this is just the 2022 phase of this multi-phase renovation.
Wonderful, wonderful. If no comments, we're going to move on, and I'm going to entertain a motion.
Motion, Madam Chair.
Motion from Mr. Peter. Crickets?
Second.
I got a second from Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Ms. Kennedy?
Paul and I got a
Item
rhythm on this. This is exciting.
Item 19 is a bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing various capital improvements for the Albany County Office Building, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $500,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $500,000 of serial bonds of said county to finance said appropriations.
Madam Chair, as stated, this is 500,000 for the project we refer to as office modernization and relocation. The main things covered under this are the mechanical, HVAC, electrical work, any kind of chillers, things like that, as well as, updating energy management and trying to get as efficient as possible.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
if there are no comments from any of the other members, I'd like to make a motion.
I got a motion.
Second motion.
I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Ms. Kennedy?
Item 20 is a bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing various capital improvements for office modernization and relocation, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $500,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $500,000 of serial bonds of said county to finance said appropriations.
Didn't we just do that one?
No, we just did 19.
No. That was
So the
19.
numbers are off on the printed. What I have
Okay.
is 19 was the one I just did for 500,000.
Okay, no, this is 20. This is for office modernization and relocation. I believe it's the mechanical HVAC roofs.
It's the second to last one. Yeah, it's,
So I went out of order. I'm sorry, with the same dollar amounts.
So this, okay.
We approved it anyway.
yeah,
I'd like to make a motion then.
office modernization and relocation.
Yeah,
I
so
love
this is more of the
modernization, you know
mechanical
that.
chillers, all that stuff that I was talking about in the last one.
Okay, so do I have a motion from you, Mr. Cactus? Yes, and so I have a second from,
You know what? Yeah,
Oh, absolutely, from
Got
Mr.
this.
Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Opposed? Okay, yeah, unanimous. Okay, Ms. Kennedy, which number are we on?
We are on 21, which is a bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing the undertaking for various capital improvements for green capital projects, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $1 million, and authorizing the issuance of $1 million of serial bonds to finance said appropriation.
And Madam Chairwoman, for this one, I'm going to pass the baton back to Luke. We've been doing pretty good teamwork tonight, so you can finish up tonight.
I can speak to this one unless, of course, Mr. Peter wants to make a motion, but no, this is.
I wouldn't steal your thunder like that, Lucas.
This is a new addition to the capital plan, and it really focuses in three main areas. Looking at zero emissions vehicles and the associated infrastructure, so primarily charging stations. Looking at green infrastructure in terms of highway related or building related green infrastructure projects. And then looking at clean technology and clean energy projects that can be incorporated into either new builds or renovations for county projects. So it's a little bit of a catch-all in that sense, but the methodology behind this, or the thinking behind this, is basically many of these types of projects have significant state reimbursement programs associated with them, but you still need the upfront dollars to be able to go after those grants. So if you want to buy a medium duty truck that is an alternative fuel vehicle, you're going to get a lot of money back from the state, but you're still going to have a significant upfront cost. And so having this bond available allows us to take advantage of those types of programs.
Thank you very much. Any comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion, Madam Chair.
I got a motion and a second. A motion from Mr. Peter, second from Mr. Packers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Now, we do have an additional, okay, go ahead, Ms. Kennedy. Thank you very much. Thank you. Who's going to take this, by the way?
I will.
Okay.
Item 22 is amending resolution number 30 for 2020. It is simply a change to the budget code. This was previously passed, I believe, last month by the legislature. So the only change is to a code used for budgeting purposes.
All right. There's no questions or any comments. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion, Madam Chair.
So,
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Peter. I got a second from Mr. Cactus. All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn and thank everybody for their participation.
Motion.
And
Second.
second, got a
Aye.
motion and a second. Good night,
Aye.
Matt, and have a